Have you ever been frustrated by how you get your grip and rebound happening on a practice pad and then it suddenly just all goes out the window when you get on the full kit? Well, today I am sharing with you the big lie you've been told about rebound, and I'm showing you exactly how to solve the disconnect between sounding good on a practice pad versus sounding good on a drum set, so that you can sound great and feel great about your drumming. You can do this. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. I'm so glad and excited that you're hanging out with me today. I help beginner and intermediate drummers become the musicians that others actually want to play with because of how good and musical they sound on the drums. And we do this by teaching you the core fundamental skills that help you get results faster. In other words, hey, if you're a busy drummer, this is a channel for you. Today is really going to be fun because we're talking about what this big lie is. I'm going to share with you what the big lie is. And then I'm going to teach you the artificial rebound hack you have to use on deader surfaces of the kit, the grip cheat you must employ to make this work, and the single best exercise you can do on your kit to put all of this into action. This is going to be really cool. But first, hey, if you're a beginner drummer, I have a special gift for you today. I want to help you quickly get going playing grooves and fills that you'll actually use in your favorite songs. So I want you to download my totally free PDF e-guide called 25 Practical Grooves and Fills for the Beginner Drummer. Now, these aren't just random grooves and fills. These 25 grooves and 25 fills are all real-world tested because I've used every one of them in hundreds of songs in my 13 plus years of gigging experience. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with this. It's gonna get you up and running quickly so you can just get going, playing songs, doing what you wanna do on the drums. So grab this free e-guide. It's totally free. It is a total no-brainer. Go grab that. All right, on with today's lesson. The big lie that we're talking about. So I wrote it out word for word here nice and eloquently so I can say it back to you, but it's this. All you need to learn is free physics-driven rebound on your practice pad, and you'll be flying around the kit with great speed and fluidity, and everything will feel great. Now, those are all good things, but what you have to pay attention to is the first part of that, which is the all you need to learn is the free physics-driven rebound, because physics-driven rebound is an essential core thing we have to learn as drummers. I'll show you a little bit of that in a minute. But let's talk about why this is a lie, that all you need to do is master the super loose grip. Well, it's a lie because very few surfaces on the drum set actually feel like a practice pad. And that's the problem. That's the big disconnect that we all end up running into at some point, or maybe we've had a teacher who's had us do a lot of pad practice and we see all the lessons on YouTube telling us, you know, pad practice is the thing. And if you practice a bunch on your pad, then magically that's going to make things translate to the kit. And that is true to a degree, but not every surface on the kit feels like a practice pad. So we end up running into trouble because floor toms are very dead. There's very little rebound on the floor tom. Pretty much no rebound if you're playing on the edge of a cymbal, like if you're crashing a cymbal or you're washing on the ride. The edge of the hi-hats, we especially run into trouble there because most of the time we're not playing on the top unless we're playing really lightly. And if we're playing more heavily, we're on the edge. We run into stick clash here and there's not rebound, and we can run into a lot of trouble because of this disconnect. Now, like I said a second ago, don't mishear me. That loose grip that we need to practice on our pads is still important, but that's just one of the things to practice. And when we're talking about that, we're basically talking about forming a fulcrum point just like this, a hinge point in your hand so the stick can rebound freely. And that's essential for this very loose kind of motion. And we do directly use this on the kit, maybe when we're playing lightly on the ride cymbal, maybe when we're playing on a high-tuned snare that actually feels kind of like a pad, or if we're playing lightly on the top of the hats. And so that pad technique does translate to certain surfaces of the kit, just not to every surface. And if you're playing, you know, a lower tuned drum set, then that's where you'll especially run into a lot of major differences. So that's what we've got to dig into this today. So our first thing I told you I would teach you, the artificial rebound hack. In other words, what we're having to do here is create artificial rebound because we're not naturally getting that rebound from the floor tom or from the edge of the hats or from the edge of the cymbal. So we have to artificially create it. Otherwise, how are we going to smoothly move around the kit and actually feel free and fluid? We're always going to feel stiff. And so we want to have that motion, that relaxed motion around the kit like we have on our pad, but it's not going to come naturally because we don't have that natural rebound springing the stick back up. We've got to do it artificially. We're going to practice this artificial rebound by playing air singles or leg singles, whichever of those you want to do first. I recommend the leg singles because what's cool about this, when you start playing on your leg, you automatically know how hard you're hitting, because if you start hitting hard, it's going to hurt. And the objective here is to play as lightly as possible so that take the leg out of the picture, you could just air play, just like this. So start on your leg, like this. We're just playing singles on our thigh, which means there's no rebound, right? And if we just play as if we were playing on the pad, this is what's gonna happen. It's just gonna be totally dead, and it might start to annoy our leg. It might actually start to hurt because all of the stick's energy is going into our leg. So what we have to do is lift the sticks out. So it's like we're tapping our leg, lifting it back up. That way, even with all this stick motion, I'm just barely even tapping my thigh. And I could even go so light that I even stop touching it. And at that point, I'm just air playing. If you're just air playing, you'll find that the stick comes down, the button hits your palm, and that's pretty much what stops it. And then you can lift it back up with your wrist. So without thinking too much about it, definitely without overthinking, just do that. Try that. Let your brain subconsciously make whatever changes to your grip need to happen to do that. So without thinking too much, try the leg singles. So we're trying to play very lightly, lifting the sticks up. So we've got full stick motion, but we're playing lightly. Also try just the air playing. See how that feels. That's our first step. Now we want to break this down a little bit more by going into our step 2 here, the grip cheat that makes this possible, because we do have to dig into the detail of, okay, what are we actually having to change here about our grip? What are we having to do differently to go from a super bouncy pad to a super dead surface like our leg? Basically, we're needing to wrap our fingers around a little bit more and just be, in general, a little bit more firm. I know it's a little bit vague, so I'll give you some specifics here in a minute. But if you think about it, so if we're playing on the pad, we can be wide open like this, very loose and wide open, especially when we're playing slow and we're allowing this free rebound. It works. But if you keep the same kind of grip going when you play on your leg, it actually starts to feel really awkward, because number one, it becomes impossible to do what I'm telling you to do if you're keeping this grip the same, or it ends up looking like this. You end up pinching too hard, and we end up in this territory, which is not good. So what we've got to do is wrap the fingers around a little bit more and just allow our hands to hug the sticks a little bit more firmly instead of being quite as loose, so that we can play more from the wrist. So it means a little bit less of that stick motion within the hand, where the stick is moving a whole bunch within the hand. And instead, our hands are following the stick a little bit more via our wrists. So to go into a little more detail here, how do we be firm but still relaxed? I think that's the million-dollar question with drumming grip, because we've got to be relaxed. We've got to play in a relaxed manner, whether we're hitting a bouncy, high-tuned surface or a cymbal or a dead, low-tuned surface. We have to be relaxed. So how do we be relaxed but still have control over the sticks? That's the biggest conundrum. It feels like a catch-22, but it's not. Here are the 3 biggest things to make sure you're doing so that you are firm but still relaxed. Number 1, make sure there's a distinct fulcrum in your grip. Now, this is something you can practice on your pad. That's where this starts, and that's why I say don't neglect pad practice. Don't mishear me. That's something we don't want to do because we're drum set players. We do want to do the pad practice, but we also want to do this other kind of practice that allows us to play on the deader surfaces. So step 1 is make sure, this is number 1 fundamental thing, make sure you've got a distinct fulcrum point, a distinct hinge point, because what that allows you to do is be firm there at your hinge point and put a little bit of pressure on the stick there so that this is happening, so that you can just toss the stick back and forth in the air. It's literally like a hinge. I like to call it a hinge point, like a door hinge. And that's your fulcrum. As long as that's going on, then everything else can be very loose and wide open. And I can play like this. And you can see how wide open and loose my hand is, but yet, because I have some firm pressure right here, keeping the hinge in place, everything is completely controlled. And that is so important. Number 2, wrap your fingers around, but don't squeeze with your fingers. Only squeeze at the fulcrum point. And again, when I have to be careful about my choice of words here, because when I say squeeze, I don't mean, you know, that kind of thing. It just means put enough pressure there that number 1, you can do this. I know I keep saying numbers. It's like I'm talking in outlines today. Number 1, you can do this. And number 2, you can just toss it like this without actually having a hand here on the butt end. So that's a way to test your fulcrum, by the way. If you can get that going on and then go like this, figure out what is the minimum amount of pressure I've got to put here with my thumb onto my middle finger. Or if you choose to do this index, you can. I prefer middle. What's the minimum amount of pressure to keep this under control, knowing that the louder and faster I get, the more pressure I need to add to maintain that control. That's how much squeeze there needs to be. So when I say squeeze, that's what I'm talking about, putting some pressure there at the fulcrum, but make sure fingers are loose and fingers are not squeezing. We don't want that kind of thing. And so that's how we get that firm but still relaxed. And lastly, number 3 thing right here, play from your wrists, but use a gentle arm motion to help move the sticks more. This is really key, and this is very neglected because so many of us drum teachers talk about how we've got to play loose, relaxed, and play from the wrists. That's something that anybody who's taken drum lessons has been taught, the whole play from the wrist, not the arm. But we have to use our arms strategically, because if we sit here and we only play from the wrist, look at how stiff this is. Like, I'm tense, my neck's hurting, it's doesn't feel good at all. But when you allow a little bit of gentle forearm motion, it's not much. I'm not going like this. That'd be ridiculous. A little bit goes a long way. It's very subtle. And if we're going faster, gradually that lessens. If we're playing more quietly, lower stick height, not much arm involved. But if we're moving around the kit and we're hitting these dead surfaces and we're playing on our thigh, there has to be forearm motion. So don't miss that. Don't neglect that. What you've got to do, those 3 things I told you there, make sure you've got a solid fulcrum here, fingers are a little more wrapped around, and you're using a little bit of forearm. And that's how you can establish this artificial rebound. So now that we've broken down all of that in detail, take a step back and practice the artificial rebound hack. Again, go back to practicing the leg singles. Now that you know, okay, I'm gonna make sure I have my fulcrum point, my fingers are gently curved around, so I'm hugging the stick more, but not squeezing it with the fingers. I've got the solid fulcrum, I'm gonna use a little bit of forearm and just go like this. Practice just doing this. And you can do it in the air too. It is funny how, like, air drumming is a legitimate way to practice this. Because air drumming, if you're air drumming and like playing your kit with no kit in front of you, that means that you have to be creating an artificial rebound. Maybe you've already been doing this without even realizing it, and now you're just fine-tuning it and making sure you're actually doing it well, because then you can literally apply that air drumming to a super dead kit with super low drums, and you'll still be able to play freely off of them and not feel really stiff and clumsy. So now let's drive this home with what I think, this is my opinion, what I think is the single best exercise you can do to put all of this into action. Now, air drumming is literally a good exercise. I do recommend you air drum, do the, playing on your thigh like that, where we're trying to get stick height but play really lightly. But let's apply all of that. So everything we've just covered, let's apply this to the full kit. Here's what we're gonna do. This is super simple, but so helpful. All we're gonna do is play quiet singles on each surface of your kit. So that means your snare, each of your toms, the edge of your hi-hats, maybe hi-hats open, hi-hats closed, the edge of your cymbal, like edge of a crash cymbal, so doing a cymbal roll, or the edge of your ride, top of your ride. Think of all the different surfaces, all the different things that you have to strike that have a different feel. We're gonna practice quiet singles on all of those, but we're gonna make sure we're maintaining stick height while doing that. So what we're not doing is this. In other words, we're not trying to go as quiet as we can. We want to play like a medium quiet volume, so really it looks more like this. That's kind of a quiet medium volume, but we still have that full stick height. So that's where we're getting at, as quiet as you can go while having a nice full stick height, so you have that relaxed motion exactly like you did on your thigh. So it literally might look like that. Plus you can play on the tops of your hats, top of the cymbals, which is pretty easy because there you get all the rebound. But especially focus on doing this on the surfaces where there's not much rebound, like the floor tom, the edge of the cymbal. So literally you're practicing doing really good quality cymbal rolls here, and you're practicing getting a really great sound out of your hi-hats by putting your sticks about in this position, where if you're playing open hats, you might be like this. If you're doing closed hats, you might be more like this. So kind of along those lines, what's interesting is there are 3 problems that we encounter as drummers, 3 logistical, ergonomical, motion kind of problems that we encounter that doing what we're talking about today helps you solve, which is really cool. This is kind of just the icing on the cake. If you've stuck with me up to this point, you've been practicing all of this, then I want you to know here are 3 things that all of this is going to help you solve, maybe even without realizing it. First one is stick clash when crossing over to play the hats. Because when you're doing this artificial motion, just like you did on your leg, that's what it's always going to go back to. When you got this going on, that means your right stick is always getting out of the way of your left, so you can play backbeats without your sticks getting tangled. I've referred to this in past lessons as the windshield wiper motion, where one windshield wiper is always out of the way of the other. They never hit each other. And so I'm not even playing that loud. If I try to play really softly, as a matter of fact, I'm still allowing that lift. I have that artificial motion going on so that my left stick can come up. And then if I get a little bit louder, it still works perfectly because the stick is always getting out of the way. So that is the first huge thing. If you've dealt with any kind of stick clash, stick tangle over here, and you've tried placing your hats and getting them at exactly the right height and you're still running into trouble, make sure you have this motion going on. That is key. That is going to set you free. Number 2 problem this is going to help you solve. Lack of ability to smoothly move around the kit. If you've ever felt clumsy moving around the drums, especially when trying to play softly and you're trying to get around the kit, things just kind of feel stiff and they just don't feel right, they don't feel smooth, they don't feel fluid. This is going to solve that, because when you sit here and you practice these big, open, but quiet strokes around the drums, you're essentially teaching your sticks how to move. You're teaching them what trajectories they need to be taking, and you're also learning the distances between things on your kit. You're getting better at moving from here to here and here to here. And you've got just that loose, relaxed, fluid feeling going on, that mindset. And so that's going to help you feel so much more free and relaxed and smooth. And so your timing is going to be better and your overall sound is going to be better and you're going to feel great about your drumming. And the third thing, this is really interesting, it's going to help you not rush. When you're playing slowly, imagine a really slow groove like this. Imagine just any kind of really loose, kind of like a swung kind of groove like that. It's so easy to rush, but when you have everything in this smooth, fluid kind of motion, it's so much easier to not rush. A lot of times rushing is a physical thing. It can be a mental thing. It can very much be a mental thing where we're afraid, that we're going to drag or something, or we're getting anxious, we're nervous, and so we tend to rush. But a lot of times it's a physical thing, and when you've got your hands doing what they're supposed to, and everything is loose, relaxed, and fluid, suddenly you don't rush. It's like magic, and that really will happen when you work on this. So question for you as we wrap up. Actually, a couple questions, but the first one is this. Do you ever just sit there and air drum with your sticks? You ever sit there and air drum? Maybe you felt silly doing it, but it is a legitimate thing that I'm now telling you to practice. And so tell me that. Have you ever actually air drummed? Have you ever considered that it might be like something useful, something practical to practice? But also, as you analyze, as you go through this lesson, you think through yourself and your playing and your grip and everything, what do you need to change right now with your grip in order to more fluidly float around the kit? So do you need to work on that fulcrum and work on firming up your grip a little bit in order to do the artificial rebound? Do you need to incorporate more forearm into your motion? Do you need to be looser? Do you need to be firmer? What is it? Can you do some self-analysis and figure out what do I need to work on right now? Or maybe of these things, what have I already worked on? Maybe unintentionally, what have I gotten good at? Maybe by air drumming. If you've done enough air drumming, you might already have a pretty good handle on this, because then you're literally just applying that air drumming to the kit. So let's get a discussion going below. All right, as always, everyone, thanks so much for hanging out today. This has been fun. I hope this has been a really transformative, really helpful lesson for you. I hope this has provided you with lots of value. Thanks for watching. And hey, don't forget to grab that e-guide, the 25 practical grooves and fills for the beginner drummer. If you are a beginner, this is going to help you out so much by just giving you the key core building blocks to really get you going playing your favorite songs. And then you can go from there to improvising your own fills and getting creative. Always good to have a springboard to start off on, and this is a good foundation for you. So dive into that e-guide. It's totally free. You'll have a lot of fun with it. You can download it, print it off, take it to your practice room. All right, thanks for watching. Stay non-glamorous. Always know that you can do this. I'll see you on the next lesson.